A game that I've been looking forward to for a while now finally released into beta this week, and it's a good job that did release into beta and not full release, as things haven't gone as expected. In the words of the devs themselves, this isn't where they want to be right now. The game, of course, is Splitgate 2. That being said, despite all the issues, the game is incredibly fun, looks great graphically. Previously, I was playing this game on my old PC during the previous alphas and betas, and I was struggling. My performance was around 60 FPS on low settings. I've since upgraded my PC, and I'm very glad that I did, because I'm now playing ultra everything 200 FPS, and it's a very enjoyable experience. The game performs great, looks great, and is most definitely going to be my main game rather than Halo going forward. However, as I said, it's not where the game wants to be right now, or not where the developers want the game to be, as there is once again server issues with Splitgate. And I really do feel for the devs. I mean, I know a lot of them, not closely, but I QA'd for the first game, did some weapon skins here and there. I was heavily involved in tournaments and things like that, and I've had a chance to talk to some of the guys behind the scenes at Splitgate, and they're all great people, very talented. And I know personally that they legitimately do put tons of effort in, and they stay up all night trying to fix these issues when they occur. When Splitgate 1 came to consoles, QA testers, community members, devs, and even the CEO of the company were up for 24 to 30 hours straight just playtesting the game, and even fell asleep in a Discord call. So they genuinely do put tons of time in, and I'm sure they are trying to fix the issues that are ongoing with Splitgate 2. The game launched into beta with 15 maps, 25 weapons, infinite custom maps because they have a Forge editor at release, unlike another game that was supposed to have a Forge at release, 10 game modes, and it's out on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and I believe it's also on Steam Deck. But I think I remember hearing there might be a couple issues for the Steam Deck version right now. But for a beta, that is a hefty amount of content. That is more content than I would say 90% of AAA games release with today. It seems like there's no plan from the Splitgate team to drip feed content that should be in the game at release over the course of a few months. They are just going to release as it should, release with everything that is ready to release with. And then feed in more content via updates, because the game is obviously a free-to-play live service game. And this is the way that it should be. Everything besides the servers is really going well, which is a shame. They could have hit the ground running with this. The player count was decent for a beta, or still is, obviously it's ongoing. There's around 12,000 people playing on Steam. I guess maybe similar amounts on console, possibly more. It's probably safe to say that the peak player count might be in the region of 30 to 50,000 players, just a guess, which is nothing to, snark at. The gameplay feels great. The gunplay is the best since, I think this is actually a line in one of the trailers, the best since older Halo games such as Halo 3. Splitgate 2 is the most fun I've had on a shooter game since probably Halo 3, Halo Reach, Titanfall, around that era, and it's in my eyes much better than Infinite. So as I said, I will be maining this game. The best way that I can describe Splitgate 2 is it feels like what the devs wanted Splitgate 1 to be, but they didn't have the resources and time back then to do it. So it is very much the same game with tweaks here and there, and obviously a new engine, and that therefore should mean no technical debt, which was one of the main reasons they stated that Splitgate 1 struggled once it gained a lot of players. Now, despite how awesome I and previous players of Splitgate feel the game is, newcomers don't quite have the same connection to the game and the developers as some of us may do, and therefore they are rating the game, they are reviewing the game based on their first impression, which sadly for a lot of people is now being sat in a queue to enter the game, because that is the current fix, I guess you could say, that the devs have implemented to reduce the amount of server issues. You may remember this from Splitgate 1. Nice. They had server queues back then as well. So you might have to wait for, I mean, I think I waited like 25-30 minutes just to get into a game once. But once you do, you're not going to get kicked out randomly. As long as you keep the game open, then you know you can play for as long as you want. You just have to wait in the queue to actually get in. But first impressions mean a lot in the game dev world. People these days don't really care if a game is in beta or early access, even alpha. People judge things immediately. They don't care if you say that it will be fixed. They don't care if you say the game is 1 year or 2 years out. They judge it based on their experience. And sadly, Splitgate 2 is currently sat at like 50% review rating. I think there's 2,500 views, and legitimately 50% of them are negative. The game is sat at mixed reviews, and if a wave of negative reviews came in, let's say 500 to 600 negative reviews over the next few days, the game will be sat in the negative review category. Is the game bad? No, the game is very good. But sadly, the devs fell short on the one area that they couldn't test for, and that is having a game that uses dedicated servers that launches into a mass play account that you cannot test. You cannot simulate an environment where tens of thousands of players are playing your game at the same time. You can do your best to try with a QA team of hundreds, but it simply doesn't simulate what thousands or tens of thousands of players will do and what will happen to your servers and your game when you open the floodgates to all those people. Now, there are other issues which I believe could also stem from server-related problems, or maybe just like in-game back-end data. Things like XP for weapons isn't currently progressing, but it was at a time, like when the game first released, for the first day, it was, because I maxed out the AR and got like 6 levels on my carbine. My character's battle pass level is like 10, 11 or something. So yeah, and I was completing challenges, but now it seems like you can't complete challenges and you can't progress weapon XP. So the game's progression system has taken a bit of a hit as a result of these issues. So those are the main two things at the moment: is you can't get into the game, or at least you have to wait a while to get in because of server capacity, and once you do get in, you can't progress your character or weapons or anything. So eventually it does kind of feel somewhat pointless to play for longer than a few hours. Now, I've played 10 hours of the beta so far, which is a decent amount of time. It's only been out for 3 days. That's me averaging 3 and a bit hours every day. But I will say that's because when I've hit playing for like 3 hours a day, I am kind of feeling like, what's the point right now? Because I'm going to have to redo all this again when the progression system does eventually start working. So I think they need to fix that as quickly as possible, and sadly I'm starting to feel like it's harder than they anticipated. What they have right now is called a race condition, which is where when a high number of players launch the game at the same time or are online at the same time, it is causing something to go wrong. As I said, you can't test for that scenario, so they are having to probably disable and enable several things within the game, keep putting out different updates and different builds and seeing which one improves the state and which one makes it worse. This is kind of how you test game dev when you don't know what the real cause of the problem is. With my game, Cross Planet, we once had a build that just broke immediately on launch when you got to the menu, and we had no idea why. And what you do is you just start removing things or limiting things as you go. Maybe it's a game mode, a map, a character, maybe the menu altogether, maybe you need to bypass Steam's login authentication, etc, 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 and eventually you find the one thing that was causing all the problems. This can be extremely stressful and time consuming. And the average gamer doesn't realize this. There are people in their Discord that are saying things like, oh, the devs have gone to sleep, I can't believe they haven't fixed the game, they don't care about their community. people hopping in after, you know, ditching the game for the first couple days and then saying, haven't they fixed this yet? It's been 3 days, etc. You know, people just saying like the devs are bad basically because they can't fix the issues. People, you know, who are none the wiser just seem to expect that bugs, server issues, etc. can be solved in a matter of hours. And that's just not how it is. It's not because the developers are bad. It's just the nature of game dev. And if you don't understand it yourself, politely shut up. Backseat gaming is one thing, but backseat game deving is 10 times worse. Imagine being a professional in your field and someone who has no idea what they're talking about trying to tell you what to do. I imagine that's what it feels like working at Bungie on Marathon. Anyway, that's about it. Like I said, the core gameplay, incredibly fun. Much like Halo's core gameplay was incredibly fun with Infinite, but the thing that Infinite missed the mark on was the amount of content at launch. Plus, Infinite had many desync issues as well. It had its fair share of connectivity problems when it launched. Splitgate has all the content it needs for the next few months. It has a brilliant game that looks visually stunning. Gameplay feels great. All the guns are nice to use. They feel well balanced now in comparison to previous betas. The game doesn't have much aim assist from what I can see, so controller players and mouse and keyboard players all seem fairly happy. Like the mouse and keyboard guys aren't crying because they're getting dominated by controller players, but aim assist is still somewhat there to help the people who don't want to switch over to a mouse and keyboard but still want to play on PC. Yeah, I've played it with some friends, I've played it by myself. It's been fun either way, and I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for a replay mode. I don't think that's there right now unless I'm missing it, so I can record some gameplays, go back and record them, get nice thumbnails, nice cinematic shots. Looking forward to ranked mode, looking forward to tournaments and see what they do with the Splitgate Pro Series again, and just more custom wacky modes, and hopefully even a no portal mode to bring in those players who like the gameplay but still can't quite grasp that mechanic. It really is looking like it's going to be what Splitgate 1 should have been and could have been had it had the you know, the right people and resources at the time. So here's to hoping that they fix the server issues and people start changing their reviews on Steam as a result as quickly as possible, because I would hate to see this game, you know, enter that negative review category or stay in mixed for months, simply because of a few days of server issues at launch which they couldn't have predicted. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. Check out Splitgate 2 for yourself. It is free. It's like 14 gig or something. It's incredibly small in file size. How they did this, I don't know, but they have compressed that build a ton, so it won't take long to download. And yeah, leave a positive review. Don't leave negative ones just because the devs are having server issues. Okay, thanks for watching, and goodbye.